Hey, what is going on everyone? This is iReviews back with another video, and today we're talking about iOS 14 and iPadOS 14 as we're getting very close to the release of the first betas of these two softwares. There are of course a ton of reports, leaks and rumors regarding the new features that are coming to iOS 14 and iPadOS 14. So in this video we're going to talk about some new leaks that talk about the biggest features that we were expecting to come to iOS 14. Besides that, we're going to talk more about some new features that have been leaked that are coming to iOS 14 and iPadOS 14. And of course some more details regarding WWDC 2020. Starting things off with the home screen widgets. Now, home screen widgets have been one of the biggest features that were expected to come to iOS 14. It has been reported and it was based basically on an early build of iOS 14 which was leaked way back in December 2019, but it looks like that won't happen. So according to John Prosser on Twitter, which is a very reliable source, iOS 14 won't include the home screen widgets. So according to him, there is no current internal build that actually has this feature, nor is there a feature flag for engineers. But he says that Apple has been working on this, and also third-party widgets in the control center might also be an option, but probably we'll have to wait for iOS 15 for that. Well, it's not known whether the control center stuff will happen on iOS 14 or not. Probably it won't, but we will have to still wait and see for that. So I expect Apple to basically allow us to add like toggles on the control center that are from third-party apps, of course, to quickly perform different actions. And of course, with the toggles having the ability to expand, just like you can see on the current control center of iOS 13, that would be pretty cool, and probably the devs would take advantage of it and make some really cool stuff for the control center. Next up, we're talking about a new feature that has recently been reported, and it's quite big, but it's also not true. I'm just telling it right away. Don't expect Apple to add this new feature to iOS 14, and it was call and FaceTime recording. That won't happen. Apple won't allow us to have a built-in phone call recorder on iOS. Now, this was first reported by a Chinese website called IT Home, who basically shared a screenshot of the settings of this phone and FaceTime call recording feature, but that's not gonna happen. Later on, we had a report from 9to5Mac, and based on Apple engineers, that feature has been present on iOS internal builds. So don't expect that to come out to the public. It's basically a dedicated option for Apple employees and won't be available to the users. And if you take a look at those settings, you can see that at the bottom line there, it says that you further agree that you will not allow any other person to use this device while audio logging is enabled. So basically it's just for Apple workers and not for anyone else. Now, this is also confirmed on Twitter by Chocobit, who shared a few screenshots here that show basically these internal settings. So you will see right here all the screenshot. You can see right here is the feature, phone and FaceTime calls. If you go right there, you will have enable audio call recording. That's the feature which is on internal builds of iOS. Next up, we're talking about iPadOS 14. Now, we have some pretty cool features that have been reported lately coming to iPadOS 14. Now, the report comes from a Chinese website. I can't really say anything about the reliability of this website, but I chose to share these features with you because they seem very realistic and might be coming to iOS 14. I really hope they do, and I truly believe they will. So first of them is split view with 3 apps. Now, currently on your iPad, you can have a split view just like this with 2 apps. You will have, of course, an app on the left, one on the right, and if you try to put another app there, it won't put it on the split view. It will just replace any one of these. So if I just release Unsplash there, it will replace Reddit, won't add a third app to the split view. Now, you can do that using a trick. So if you just drag one of the apps and release it right here in the middle, then you will have 3 apps, but this is a card, not an app on the split view. So that's a kind of trick that you can use to do that. But now, according to this report with iPadOS 14, we can expect Apple to add this feature. So have 3 apps on the split view on the iPad. That would be really cool, and I hope it will happen. Another really cool new feature of iPadOS are the app cards. So basically you will have these cards which you can slide anywhere on the screen, you can hide them, and when you need them you just slide like this and you will have them here. You swipe up to go to a kind of like app switcher of these cards to select any one of them and switch between them, and it is really awesome. Now if you want to have access to your cards, you will have to be within an app, because if I go right here on the home screen, you can see that it won't actually open them even if I slide from here or this side right here. But according to this report with iPadOS 14, Apple is bringing slide over to the home screen, so you will be able to access those directly from the home screen. The app cards, you won't need to go into an app to actually have access to them, but you will have access to them right here on the home screen without needing to open any of the apps. And that would be very useful, and of course a very welcome feature for iPadOS 14. Really cool. Probably we will use kind of a gesture, like maybe like a 2-finger swipe or something to invoke them, but that would be really welcomed. And another feature reported for iPadOS 14, and I'm praying it will also be on iOS 14, is a smaller interface for Siri. You can also see it on the screenshot right here. It looks just beautiful, because right now it's terrible on the iPhone, but it's way worse on the iPad. All this giant screen, and look what it takes here. Siri will take all that place right there. It will just cover the complete screen, and a smaller interface would look really amazing and will also be very welcomed. A few days ago, there was a report regarding a built-in translator that is coming to Safari with iOS 14 and iPadOS 14. Looks like it's getting even better. Reports say that this built-in feature might come, and Apple is testing it also on other apps. So apps like maybe App Store can have this feature, allowing you to translate different stuff, like maybe different descriptions of apps on the App Store or reviews, to any language you want, and that's really cool. Also, according to 9to5Mac, iPadOS 14 might include full support for Apple Pencil on Safari and of course other browsers as well, so basically on different websites. Right now you only have the ability to scroll and touch on websites with the Apple Pencil, but on iPadOS 14 we might have the ability to basically draw, markup, and do all that kind of stuff with the Apple Pencil on iPadOS 14. And last but not least, we're talking about WWDC 2020. Apple has just released the schedule for WWDC 2020, and we can expect iOS 14 and iPadOS 14 to come out on June 22nd, 8 AM Pacific Division time. So you can see right here we have a report from 9to5Mac with the schedule, and you can see right here we have June 22nd, will be a Monday, 10 AM, this special event keynote when Apple will unveil the iOS 14 and iPadOS 14, and of course we will see whether all these features that have been leaked and reported and rumored will come to iOS 14 or iPadOS 14 or not. Now, one of the biggest things that I believe about these two softwares is the ability to support the same devices as iOS 13. Now, this has not been reported about iPads, and we don't know whether that will happen or not, but according to some reports, the iPhones will be still the same. Every iPhone supported on iOS 13 will also be supported on iOS 14 as well, and that's huge news. Now, I expected Apple to do this because they were basically focused on performance with iOS 14, so hopefully they will also support the same iPads and of course the same iPhones as well. So that is it for this video, guys. This is iOS 14 and iPadOS 14, the latest rumors, reports, and leaks regarding some of the features that have been reported earlier and some new features that have now been reported. So again, the home screen widgets probably won't happen with iOS 14. Hopefully Apple will add that new feature on the control center, allowing for third-party apps to have basically their toggles and that stuff on the control center. As for the iPadOS 14, these features that I just reported seem very likely to happen. They are not like crazy features that you cannot even imagine to come to iPadOS, so hopefully they will come. So that's basically it. Go ahead and subscribe for more videos. iOS 14 and iPadOS 14 are very close to being released. They will be here on June 22nd, 8 a.m. Pacific Division time. So go ahead, subscribe. I will let you know once they're released, and we'll let you know, of course, about all the new features and everything you need to know regarding these two new softwares. Again, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. All the links to the sources will be right down below in the description of the video if you want to check them out for yourself. And I'll see you guys on the next one.